Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera. Saya Syaf Syukri dan seperti biasa ketika ini saya bukan berada di Malaysia, saya bukan berada di set studio di Astrawani Bukit Jalil, tapi ketika ini saya berlintas langsung dari Hudson Yard, New York seperti dengan lawatan kerja saya dan juru kamera Nur Fahmi Madazahar untuk membuat liputan sepanjang Perhimpunan Agung Pertubuhan Bangsa-Bangsa Bersatu PBB atau UNGA kali ke-79. Dan untuk kesempatan yang kami ada sepanjang kami berada di Amerika Syarikat kali ini adalah cukup bermakna sekiranya peluang ini digunakan sebaik-baiknya untuk kita mendekati masyarakat di sini ataupun diaspora Malaysia yang berada di Amerika Syarikat untuk kita memahami lebih. Seperti kita tahu pada bulan November ini rakyat Amerika Syarikat akan membuat satu pemilihan yang cukup penting, cukup genting untuk melihat siapa bakal calon presiden yang akan menuju ke White House dan seterusnya memimpin Amerika Syarikat untuk tempoh 4 tahun akan datang. Dua calon yang cukup prominent, Kamala Harris dan Donald Trump. Kedua-duanya berada di liga tersendiri, mempunyai manifesto tersendiri. Tapi yang kita tahu ketika ini Kamala Harris mendahului, ada kalanya lebih dengan 2 mata dan 3 mata berdasarkan beberapa tinjauan yang dijalankan. Dan untuk itu juga ya, selain mendapatkan pandangan, selain daripada laporan berita yang kami bawakan setiap hari mengenai perkembangan perjalanan pilihan raya presiden kali ke-47 ini, penting juga untuk kita memahami persepsi dan juga perspektif serta pemahaman masyarakat luar yang berada dan telah bertapak di Amerika Syarikat. Seperti saya sebutkan tadi, diaspora Malaysia yang sudah bekerja lama di sini, bagaimana beliau melihat perjalanan pilihan raya presiden pada kali ini dan bagaimana beliau mempunyai pandangan tersendiri terhadap kedua-dua calon yang bertanding, sama ada Donald Trump ataupun Kamala Harris. Dan sudah bersedia bersama saya ialah Syafiq Najib yang merupakan wartawan yang sudah bekerja di saluran ABC atau ABC News, secara spesifiknya bertugas di Good Morning America. Okay, dan izinkan saya berbahasa Inggeris untuk meneruskan interview ini. Thank you so much Syafiq for joining us.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Thank you. So my first question would be, you know, we were talking about the presidential election, the focus on who's gonna go through the White House, who's gonna win this election. So if you could vote, if you have the right to vote here in Malaysia, who would it be, Kamala or Trump?
I mean, it would be really hard to choose either of them, but I'll be leaning more towards Kamala, just because of everything that she stands for, that I think would be better for the new generation.
Okay, why? Okay, as a Malaysian citizen who lived here, I don't know, for more than 10 years now, right?
Almost
10 years. So, how do you see the American public's acceptance of these two candidates?
I think also it's just right now it's just everything is just so dividing between them two. You can see it depends. If you live in a big city, you know, if you're in New York or LA, then people are more leaning towards Kamala. And then also if other than LA and New York, in the Midwest, for example, then it will be more towards Trump. I think it's all just because of again the policies that they stand for, and then and then also like I said, what their opinions on the new generation, how they want to raise their kids, to be for the next 4 years, the next years ahead.
So you have been here for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
So you have the experience living here during the Trump's administration. How it feels like?
It felt it felt like in a movie, to be honest, because when he was in administration, there was news he's on the headline almost every day. There's always something new that he would do that's shocked people, that people thought this would have never been done. This would never be happen during, especially in our time, in our lifetime. For example, the Roe v. Wade that he overturned. So that's just something that I remember when it happened. Everyone was just in disbelief, because they felt at the time, especially the liberals, they felt at the time that they were going backwards rather than going forward. But then again, also I said, there are two groups of people. There's also the conservatives that thought that was such an achievement that that it was overdue, because they're probably going a little, the liberals are going a little too much, probably in terms of that beliefs.
So what is your view on this Roe v. Wade thing? There is a rumor saying that if Trump were to win again and if he were to lead the White House again for the next term, he would overturn the law, the rules, the written rules, the written bills. How do you see that?
Again, because I don't have a family of my own yet, so, and also, not just that, but also at the same time, like you have to think about if it's like sometimes it doesn't affect you until it affects your own people, like your family. So I would want like everyone to have their own rights to do, you know, like to make their own decision, and it's not up to the government because it's such it's an individual thing. It's like you decide, like even like you as a family decide whether or not you want to have your own children, right? So like if the government decided that for you, then you're being forced to do it. And then that's gonna have the repercussion is gonna be like on the kids. Like the kids, what if like they actually didn't want to have kids, but they were forced to have kids? Then are they gonna be able to provide, you know, a good life for the kids? So you have to think about that too. So that's what I meant by like I believe in like everyone should have their own rights to make their own decision rather than up to the government.
So we were discussing a lot about Trump's administration before, and we were talking about the immigration and the border issues as well. So I would say Trump is pretty much a very vocal candidate, I would say, when you look at the past presidential debate between Harris and Trump as well. So especially on immigration and also the border issues, is this an advantage or something that that could make him lose on this election, do you think?
Well, it's like give and take because like you just don't know, because at this point right now there's, you know, like people have been, the issue of immigration, there's good and bad on both sides, right? And right now, I think obviously for like people like me who would be like, you know, pro immigration, border, you know, like open border policy, just because you know, I would want everyone to have the freedom or like the right to like pursue their dreams, you know. But at the same time, I think like in Trump's point of view is about trying to like block the criminals from coming into the country. There's some truth, there's like, you know, in it, but also there's also like not entirely true, you know, because like a lot of people who came here legally contribute a lot to this country too, to the economy, but also at the same time there's always bad people, like even if you're an American, you know, so there's bad and good people everywhere. So, but I think he's just relying on the bad perception of like immigrants, just so that he can win, you know, the Americans that like want to vote for him.
So, do you agree with the open borders policy then?
I would say yes to an extent. Yeah. I mean, obviously, everything has to have like a rule or a set of rules. You know, like you can't just like anybody come in. But also at the same time, you also have to have compassion. You know, because we're all human beings. You know, like you gotta listen to the story. You gotta like go through screenings. You know, like so that these people can like apply for their rights to be here too, because everyone has the right to be here.
Okay, and then one more thing. One part that is actually interesting about the U.S. presidential election. So we can see the presidential debate. So we had one presidential debate before this between Trump and Kamala. Do you think we need more of that?
I think a second one would be great.
Okay.
I mean, I think Kamala. So like Kamala, I think is now leading the poll just because the debate, because I don't know if you followed, like before they had Biden and Trump debate.
Yeah, I saw them.
It went like really badly.
I know.
For Biden.
Yeah.
So right now, I think so Kamala was doing really well, but she asked for the debate, but for the second time, but Trump said no. And the second one, obviously between Kamala and Trump, like we could see how like Trump was like, you know, not doing very well compared to like his last debate against Biden. So I think the debate really changed a lot of people's opinions. I saw a lot of people, like voters who were like in between and now leaning towards, you know, like Kamala or like just because of like what they watched during the debate.
Well, we're discussing about Kamala Harris as well just now. So she's currently the Vice President of the United States. So do you think what are the main manifestos and the struggles that will win Kamala Harris in this election?
That will win her?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's easy. So it's like obviously the women's rights, and then the immigration policy, and also as well as like, you know, like I know it's not like it's still controversial, but like the Israel and Gaza conflict, because like I said, like we discussed before that. People who mainly vote for Trump are like pro-Israel, but also at the same time, you know, like Kamala hasn't done enough. I don't think for like, in my personal opinion, for like Palestine, but she's done something that rather than nothing at all compared to like Trump.
But I don't know, but I've read a lot of articles before this. Many people would say that Kamala and Trump, they're just the same, you know. We're going to see nothing. There'll be no changes about the American policy on the Israeli and also Palestinian conflict. So how do you view about that?
I believe, I mean, because like even right now, you know, we're still struggling to like accept like what's going on with the current administration where Kamala is like, you know, serving. So I just feel like it would be worse when Trump took over. So it's not like you say, it's not necessarily it's going to be like better, but I think it would be worse if he took over. But again, that's just my personal opinion.
So do you think Kamala and Biden has done enough for the, you know, to resolve these issues when it comes to Palestinian and also Israeli conflict? I mean, because we've seen now, we're actually, the world's actually waiting when is the ceasefire agreement would be sealed, would be done, when will this conflict end? So how do you see about that? You know, like we were keen to see that the dispossession of the Israeli towards the Palestinian would end. Of course, we would want to see that.
Yeah.
But do you think they should have done more? And then your views on Biden and Kamala, these two war while they were administrating the White House?
Well, right now, yeah, absolutely, they could have done more. There's no question in that. And also, right now, we're all still waiting. You know, like everyone who like wants justice for the Palestinian people are still waiting, and they have confronted her like many times. You know, and then she would give this like really vague response. So. Like I said, like we want them, like we're still demanding for her. The people here are still demanding for her to do more. But then again, it's also a risk if you want to like, because as like Trump has made it known to the public that what his opinion, what his stance on the conflict, like which is he's like pro-Israel. So we could see like how it could be worse. You know, like I mean, even though right now like you can picture how worse it could be, but then I feel like it's going to be, like, regardless, it's going to be, like, you know, worse when he took over. Yeah.
Baik, perbincangan ini akan disambung sebentar lagi kerana saya rasa banyak lagi topik yang akan kita sentuh mengenai perjalanan pilihan raya Presiden Amerika Syarikat ini. Satu perbincangan cukup menarik, tapi kita berhenti dan seketika bertemu sebelah selepas ini. Baik, anda masih bersama saya Syaf Syukri dan seperti saya wawarkan tadi, kami berada di Hudson Yard di New York sempena dengan Perhimpunan Agung Pertubuhan Bangsa-Bangsa Bersatu kali ke-79 yang dianjurkan di kota metropolitan New York. Dan saya juga tadi bersama dengan Syafiq Najib, di sela-sela masa yang ada ini kita mengambil kesempatan untuk mendapatkan pandangan diaspora Malaysia yang sudah bekerja di Amerika Syarikat dalam tempoh lebih kurang 10 tahun mengenai perjalanan pilihan raya Presiden di antara Donald Trump dan juga Kamala Harris. Satu fakta yang menarik untuk kita fahami iaitu Donald Trump yang merupakan bekas Presiden ke-45 Amerika Syarikat didapati bersalah palsukan rekod perniagaan. Ini satu perkara penting untuk kita fahamkan. Saya bacakan sedikit di mana bekas Presiden Amerika Syarikat Donald Trump disabitkan kesalahan atas semua 34 dakwaan memalsukan rekod perniagaan dan barisan 12 orang juri mengambil masa 2 hari untuk berbincang sebelum mencapai keputusan sebulat suara ke atas Trump. Dan ini merupakan kali pertama bekas Presiden Amerika Syarikat disabitkan dengan kesalahan jenayah. Dan untuk kita faham juga pemilihan yang bakal berlangsung ini sebab beliau sudah didapati bersalah dan bagaimana bentuk hukumannya belum lagi diputuskan dan mahkamah akan bersidang pada 26 November selepas pilihan raya Presiden berlangsung. Dan saya masih bersama dengan Syafiq Najib. Syafiq, if Kamala Harris were to win this election, this coming election on the 15th of November, you know, she will of course be the first female president of the United States, the first female president, the first POTUS. So if Trump wins, okay, how do you view his situation given that he has already been found guilty in court?
Yeah, so that's another thing that we were discussing about how this election, why is it more important than ever? It's because of like the results that's going to come out of it is going to be historical regardless. So because we're either going to get the first female president or we're going to get the first president who is a convicted felon. So which has never ever happened in history before. So like he would like, and again, like his sentencing is not until after the election. So if he won the election, then he were to be sentenced, you know, like to go to jail. Then he would be a president who's the first president who's going to be, you know, managing, like, you know, I mean, leading the whole country from prison. So that's also something that you have to like consider, because like, what kind of like role model would you want your kids to be, you know, like growing, you know, to look up, like, you know, on, but like as in, because like it's not something that you like, you know, want to show to like other people that this is a good moral, a good like you can be doing a crime, you can commit a crime, but you can still be a president. You can still, you know, like lead the country. That's not normally like a good value, a good character of a leader.
Is it really written in the law that if you were convicted, you can actually still run for the presidency?
Yes. So it's actually because like it's not written in the law that if you were a criminal that you won't be able to run for a president. So that's the thing, because like the law, I think, only requires you first to be a U.S. born citizen, and then second, like after a certain age, and then, but they didn't say anything that if you were a convicted criminal, you were not allowed to run for the president. So that's what happened.
So I personally think that, you know, Americans have to make a right choice on the election day, on the D-Day, just to ensure that they would elect the right president to run the White House. So if things will happen, you know, like if Trump were elected to be the president this time, what would you think would be the global reaction towards this, you know?
The global reaction? I mean, I don't know, because like, again, like as a president, I think people will be shocked. First of all, that would be what the reaction would be, because like as a president, you are required to travel, you know, because like that's part of your job, to maintain or to build relationship with other countries. But if you were gonna be in a prison, or if you were sentenced to be in prison, then how were you able to do all that task, you know, like to make the country, you know, in even like to put the country in even a better place, better position in the world. So I think certain countries also, he will be banned from traveling to certain countries as a convicted felon. So that's something to be considered of too.
So do you think he would not get away with all the charges that has been pressed against him, right?
Well, again, like, yeah, so like at this point, like, you know, from what I've learned living in this country, money and power talk. So again, like, you know, I don't know if you were familiar with like the biggest case in the century probably is like O.J. Simpson. You know, like, you know, things like that. Like, so if you have the money, you have the power, which, I mean, at this point, like Trump kind of has. So you could say he could get away with it, but at the same time, yeah, you just never know at this point. Yeah.
Do you think again, because you were talking about how strong is your support towards Kamala, do you think she has all that it takes to become the first ever female president of the United States?
I believe that she has. But at the same time, again, like we said, also it's like 50-50 at this point, because of the conflict. Like, again, the recent conflict that happened between Israel and Gaza. At the same time, also the economy. The economy is like it's not doing really well right now in the U.S. Like everything is getting more and more expensive. So people were like looking around that subject too and saying that, oh, yeah, maybe like if Trump was to be elected, then you know, the price will go down. So things like that, like that's also something like to look into.
Okay, Shafiq, a few celebrities, as you were saying just now, you know, when we had discussion. Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift, they're endorsed Kamala Harris to be the next president. So how do celebrities' endorsement, you know, like impact the political campaigns, you think?
I would say hugely, especially because they have, like, in the US, they have such strong influence in the popular culture. So when one big celebrity like Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala, it's just going to sway a lot of like you know, votes from like people who like were in between, you know, and then especially in that generation, because like they like kind of worship the celebrities here. So when people like that speak up, some of them will listen. So it's going to make a big change.
Okay, so are there any risks for celebrities when they endorse these political figures, like you were saying, as we were saying just now, Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift and a few others will be endorsing their candidate for the presidency. So
Yeah.
do you think any?
I mean, there's always risk, obviously, because I don't know if you saw recently. So even Trump responded by tweeting, saying, "I hate Taylor Swift."
Okay.
And then all the Swifties were like coming after him because, like, how, Taylor Swift has like such strong fans. So there are things like that. But at the same time, I've read also like a few comments, like from the public saying that they would view her as like, oh, she's just another American. Why would I follow her opinion too? I can appreciate her talent, but I don't have to necessarily follow her opinion because she's also just like me, another American.
So do you think is it important to have this, like, all these celebrities' views? How do you see this? The impact of their views would determine the choice for the presidency.
Their views, I think, is important, like I say, because it's the same as even like with Israel and Palestine war. So that's why people have been waiting for celebrities to like say something. Is because they would actually bring such strong influence to even the Congress, and the politicians, because once that focus is being shifted into the subject, more can be done, more will be done, because people are demanding for it, and and then it came with such a big, strong, like request, I would say, yeah.
So of course, people have hope, people have their own dreams. What do you wish to see after this presidential election?
I literally just want, ideally, I just want people to live in peace, obviously, but then with like a lot of like, everyone has their own opinions, I just hope that everyone could come to a point that they could be civil with each other, because right now it's very divisive. It's either you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. I just want people to see that, your politics is, such a personal thing. I know it's impossible because the implications of everything that politicians do impact people publicly, but I hope that, I just want people to know that they can still be friends with each other, still work with each other regardless of their politics. Yeah.
So I believe that you have few other immigrant friends, other than, of course you guys were focusing more on the immigration things and whatever, like that is actually revolved and that is actually related to Donald Trump. What are the other, sentiments on the ground and also the perspectives on the ground towards this presidential election, not just only focusing on Trump?
Like from other immigrant friends?
Yeah.
They think it's a disaster. Everything is like, such a, like a bad show, basically, like every time like you go abroad, or if you go home, people would ask like, oh, how is it going over there? I heard it's like a mess, So it's everyone thinks it's because it is like I say, it's like never happened before, like the female president or the convicted felon to be a president. So it's gonna people like it's not, nothing is like going stable at the moment, I think. I think let's just put it that way. And it's out of ordinary, everything that's happening right now. But again, at the same time, it will be historical. It's either you want it to be good historical or bad historical,
Okay. Dan ketika ini juga seronok untuk saya melihat kepada situasi yang berlaku di mana-mana saja di dunia ini, kalau kita melihat bagaimana langkah yang diambil oleh pengundi muda untuk membuat keputusan sebelum mengundi calon pilihan mereka. So, I'm going to focus on these young voters as well. So, what strategies do you think that the candidates should play or should do in order to win youngest voters to actually to vote for them? It's because in Malaysia sometimes the young people tend to vote accordingly to what they think is right, not by looking at the fact which candidate would serve better. So how about the strategies that should be played here in the States?
Yeah, I think right now they're doing it. Kamala team has like such a like the strongest social media team. I think she's doing it right by getting all the influencers to get involved in her campaign. So she did that at the DNC, Democratic National Convention, where she invited all the influencers to be there and to stream live, from the convention. Which I think, like you said before, that sometimes like young voters or like like some people who like don't like to look at facts, but they would look up to people that they look up to, like people like influencers that they see and hear every day. So they would tend to follow their footsteps.
Okay. I think that's all for now. It was such a wonderful sharing from you, Syafiq, and thank you so much for your time again. Dan seperti tadi kita bersama dengan Syafiq Najib, sekali lagi kita berbincang mengenai pandangan dan juga perspektif beliau sebagai diaspora Malaysia yang sudah bekerja di Amerika Syarikat dalam tempoh 10 tahun, satu tempoh yang cukup panjang, namun sehingga kini beliau belum ada hak untuk mengundi, dan itu semua kita sudah tanyakan sebentar tadi. Dan menariknya perkongsian ini kita mengambil kira juga ya pandangan dan juga sentimen masyarakat luar terhadap apa yang berlaku di Amerika Syarikat dan bagaimana pemilihan presiden yang wajar dipilih oleh rakyat Amerika untuk memastikan negara ini terus mencipta strategi dan juga mencipta impaknya sendiri di pentas antarabangsa. Dan saya kira sekian perkongsian saya dari Houston Yard di New York ini, dan kita akan berkongsikan lebih banyak perkara sepanjang kami berada di New York, dan bukan saja memfokuskan kepada Perhimpunan Agung Pertubuhan Bangsa-Bangsa Bersatu PBB kali ke-70, namun kita juga akan melihat aspek-aspek lain yang mungkin boleh membantu dalam cerita kita bercerita mengenai pilihan raya presiden itu. Sekian untuk waktu ini, saya Syaf Syukri bersama dengan juru kamera Nur Fahmi Mat Azhar. Assalamualaikum, salam hormat, kita jumpa lagi.